new Fox News polls may shed some light on the so-called silent majority the Trump campaign is banking on. 39% think their neighbors are going to support President Trump, while 34% think they're actually going to support Joe Biden. 20% still unsure who their neighbors are going to vote for. A lot of people, they're not talking about it out there in the driveway. So how well do you know your neighbors? Our political panel joins us now to discuss. Democratic strategist Kevin Wally and Trump 2020 senior advisor Mercedes Schlapp. Good to have you both back on the show.
Hey, Shannon, good to see you.
Happy birthday to your grandmother.
Thank you. Grandmother, if you're watching, she is 95 tonight, and she loves watching. She loves seeing you guys debate. So thank you for that. We have all these interesting polls, but are people reading too much into it? I keep thinking about to 2016, where so many people were caught off guard. Maybe not you, Mercedes, but a lot of people were. Do you think people now are kind of looking at their neighbors thinking there is this secret silent majority, they're bracing themselves, they don't know what to think? What does the number say to you, Mercedes?
Well, I got to tell you, for a fact, there is a silent majority. We saw this in 2016. We're seeing it again in 2020. I actually thought that point in the poll was one of the most interesting ones that I had read, because I do think that there are so many people out there, and especially when I'm on the road. I'm actually in Wisconsin tonight. You talk to the people out there, and many of them, I call them the Trump whisperers. They basically come up to you and say, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, but they don't say it loudly. And I think it's very reflective in this poll, which clearly shows that many of these voters are saying, wait a second, I think more of my neighbors are going to be voting for Donald Trump. That means that they probably are more likely to vote for Donald Trump. It is a phenomenon that exists. And I think that when you look at the fact that there is this enthusiasm gap that truly exists, where President Trump, time and time again, there's just simply more enthusiasm for him than there is for Joe Biden.
Okay, it's hard to tell because a lot of neighbors are not putting out signs. They don't want to talk about this stuff. So really a lot of us are in the dark about where our fellows, friends and neighbors are out there voting, and family too. Today there are some interesting headlines regarding the Biden-Harris ticket was now official. They made their second appearance together today since the announcement, but they didn't take any questions. Liz Harrington, over at the RNC tweeting this, no questions. Why are they terrified of the left-wing press? Kevin, I mean, how long will they be able to go and have these events without stopping to answer questions, something the president does multiple times a day and seems to like engaging in doing?
Sure, Shannon, it's a good question. I think, if you look back at the history of these kind of vice presidential rollouts, you have these joint events in big arenas where there isn't a lot of questions in terms of from the press. And then there's an availability where the vice presidential candidate and the presidential candidate will go before the press and answer questions. I think that's all part of a normal rollout. It's only been 48 hours since Senator Harris was announced. I'll note tonight, in terms of Mercedes talking about enthusiasm, that as of 48 hours ago, the campaign has raised $48 million from grassroots donors across the country. That is a huge sum. It blows out of the water the Trump campaign to this point in history, as well as any kind of previous Democratic fundraising. So I think the enthusiasm 82 days out from this election is with this ticket in the last 2 days.
Well, and Axios has a headline that would seem to support that. Let me just read this and let you respond, Mercedes. It says, the big picture, black women especially, but also black men, Hispanics, and Democrats and independents across the board say they're more likely to vote for Biden with Harris on the ticket. That's according to a new Axios Survey Monkey poll. Mercedes.
Look, that's not what we're seeing on the ground. I've got to tell you something. President Trump has a strong record in uplifting Black America, Latinos as well, women. I mean, you look at our coalitions team, it's the strongest that I've ever seen in any Republican presidential campaign. Our Black Voices coalition is the biggest. We are opening up 17 offices in targeted states of Black Voices for Trump community centers. We're also opening 16 Latino for Trump community centers as well. We are reaching into these communities. We have a record to show, and one of the big messages, obviously, is the fact that with a Biden-Harris ticket, you're talking about increased taxes that would impact the middle class. And time again, you see these polls show that the president leads and people trust the president to get the economy back on track more than Joe Biden. I will tell you, this Biden-Harris ticket is scary. This is talking about the complete socialist takeover of not only Joe Biden, but of the Democrat Party. And I think common sense Americans and the minority community will look at this and say, we cannot go in this direction.
Okay.
No
What are you
one thinks
talking
Joe
about? You
Biden
guys
is a
don't even have
radical,
a record
Mercedes.
to show. I'm
like,
sorry.
Sure we do. We
Let's
created
let
more.
Let's let Kevin have a
literally
chance
combined
to give a
himself-
final word here. Okay, Kevin.
All I'll say is I'm happy to compare the Obama-Biden administration to the last 4 years of the Donald Trump-Mike Pence administration. When Americans go to the polls in just 80 days, they're going to ask themselves, are they better off than they were 4 years ago, which is the perennial question to every campaign election. And for the vast majority of Americans, including the 16 million Americans out of work because of this pandemic, the answer is no.
Yeah, and there's some very interesting economic numbers in these polls, too. So we're running out of time. So both of you come back. We've got 80 days. Come back for a rematch because I know you both have plenty more to say. Thank you both.
All right. Happy birthday, Graham.